Welcome to The Buzz. I'm Christopher Conover. This week, minimizing the impact of Arizona's intense summer heat. The summer is off to a warm start. The Tucson area hit 100 degrees for the first time May 27th, while Yuma crossed that threshold 10 days earlier. What's commonly called the Icebreaker Day came earlier than normal, as National Weather Service data show the normal first triple-digit day comes in early June. Across the state's south, some areas have already recorded temperatures approaching 109 degrees, and the Phoenix area has already recorded at least 4 heat-related deaths. To get an idea of just how hot this summer will likely be, we begin this week by speaking with Dalton Van Straten, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service office in Tucson.
Actually, it arrived probably right around normal for the time of year. We start to see temperatures increase in late April, early May, and it's not uncommon to get 100-degree temperatures as early as May. But, normally as we ramp up into the monsoon, we do see those temperatures creeping up into the 105s. But all in all, I'd say it's here right around the right time. It's just all happening all at once.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like this year it did not have that slow ramp up. We went from, it's lovely, to 110.
Yes, and it catches people off guard really fast. So that's our reasoning why we've been really persistent with getting these warning messages out for excessive heat.
So with that excessive heat, is it just the high daytime extreme sun and warmth that pose that health risk, or do those warm overnight lows also cause issues?
That's actually a great point. Overnight lows are also a problem, especially in urban areas when all that concrete absorbs the daytime solar energy. You can get overnight low temperatures that are also above normal, pushing record high minimum temperatures. When your temps stay up at over 70 degrees, 80 degrees overnight, then that also poses a threat.
So each year it seems like we get a week or two that's, that just awful 110 plus highs in the warmer areas. But usually that means the monsoon is right around the corner, and that's what breaks it. So because we're having these highs right now, does that early heat mean an early monsoon, hopefully?
Hopefully. You'd like to get that relief from the monsoon, but that isn't always the case. It can be hot and dry. Really, for the monsoon to start, we need to tap into moisture sources. So the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of California, evapotranspiration from plants in northern Mexico, all of that moisture makes its way up in our area. And the way it does that is the wind pattern shifts. So when that high pressure aloft builds, you get winds that come mainly out of the east and southeast, or even the south, and then that draws that moisture up. But it's not really until it makes its way to the surface that we see the monsoon really in full swing.
Well, we'll all keep our fingers crossed and do what we can to help, just take water and throw it up in the air right now. Whatever we can do to
yeah, we need a little bit of it.
Earlier this week, one of our reporters attended the media session that you all held there at the National Weather Service in Tucson. And the story she did for us afterwards said that this year's monsoon is a hard one to predict. How come it's going to be so hard to predict?
So there's a couple different aspects that make this difficult. On the one hand, you have climate models that are leaning drier than normal. Everything is pointing toward not getting as much activity this monsoon season. But based on the wet winter that we had, that was an El Nino winter. Monsoon after an El Nino winter leans wetter than normal. So that's one factor. The other factor is that wet winters slightly lean to a drier monsoon. So that's kind of a conflicting point there. You have, on the one hand, we had an El Nino winter, but that winter was also one of our wetter winters, which was helpful for our fire season, but that little bit of a transition into the early part of the summer, if it starts giving indications that it's going to be drier than normal, then we start to lose a little bit of hope. But it's not over yet. We still have a long way to go.
So going back to the heat, with these extreme temperatures we've been seeing, the extreme heat warnings we've been seeing, is there any advice for what people should be doing day or night, since some of those overnight temps have been up? Is there anything that people need to keep in mind?
Hydration is really important. Also, just wearing loose-fitting clothing. Avoid the excessive heat part of the day. So typically, once you're into the 105s and 110s, you kind of want to be done being outside around 10 a.m. After that, you have a greater risk of heat exposure. And then after, I'd say probably 6 p.m. is probably when it starts to cool off a bit, or at least the direct sunlight isn't as much of a problem. Wear sunscreen. Make sure to check your cars. Look in the backseat to make sure that you don't have any passengers, pets, things like that. So make sure you're looking out for one another. Know the signs for heat exhaustion and heat stroke. Having those symptoms, then it's a medical emergency, and heat-related illnesses tend to really be an issue this time of year.
That was Dalton Van Straten of the National Weather Service office in Tucson. So what are people doing to keep Arizonans safe in extreme heat? One common method is cooling centers, places that are open to the public and are kept cool to give refuge to those who either don't have a home or lack the ability to cool their home enough to stay safe. One group taking part in those efforts is the Crossroads Mission in Yuma. It hosts 2 cooling centers. To learn what those centers are like, we spoke with Barbara Rochester, the mission's community affairs director.
Well, we have Crossroads Mission has 2 cooling systems. One location is at our thrift store. So when you walk in, we have cold water there, recliners where you can sit and rest. We try and have some snack foods there all the time, but sometimes we run out. But we have Gatorade and water there at that location. Now, at the location at 944 South Arizona Avenue is completely different. This is the station where we have meals and housing. So at this location, when they come in, they come to the cooling station, cool down. We have games. We do your laundry. We go ahead and make sure everybody's comfortable. We have activities like Scrabble or Monopoly for them. And we have a big screen TV where they can sit and cool down. If they need to stay here, they're welcome to stay here overnight. And we have 20 days in and 10 days out. So they get to stay here for 20 days. And we really try and watch it, the temperatures, because we're not going to let you go out when the temperature's supposed to be hitting this week of 102 to 111. So we try and do a whole package deal so we don't say, okay, your time's up, you can leave.
It sounds like especially, well, obviously the storefront one, but also the other one. When people hear cooling centers, you don't need a light jacket, but it's someplace to come in, get cool, either temporarily or longer term, as you were saying.
Yes. So I work here at the Mission, and we have a family shelter, a drug and alcohol treatment center, and we have the men's shelter here. And if we talk to them while they're here and they're homeless, we offer free GED classes here. If we can encourage them, it's an encouragement for them to be here, then we can find out why you're homeless, what's going on in your life. I have counselors here to see if there's anything we can do to get you off the street from being homeless. Do you need to go to the doctor? I have bus passes. We provide as much as we possibly can. If you don't have an ID, we provide IDs for you free. We're trying to get your life off the streets and into society again. If you had hardships, we want to see if we can help you overcome those hardships.
Well, and you said something interesting in there, if you're homeless. So you don't have to be homeless to use the cooling center. necessarily. You just need to get out of the heat.
Get out, anybody off the street. If you're just going by, your air conditioner doesn't work in your car, come on in. No, you do not have to be homeless. It's open to the public.
We noticed on the website that one of your centers is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, that may strike some people as odd that at 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning you need somewhere cool. Is Yuma like Phoenix in that even though the sun goes down, it still can be very hot overnight?
Yes, we will not turn you away. This is the place where I work. It's called the Men's Shelter, and you'll come in and we'll take care of you. We are never closed. We're open 24 hours a day, all holidays, and we also provide hot meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner 3 times a day. We do 450 meals a day. So I'm the person to make sure that we have plenty of food, plenty of laundry to wash your clothes. We do 80 loads of wash a day. So we're doing everybody's clothes. We tag them, put them in the wash machine, wash them, dry them, and we hand them back to you. And we give you new sets of clothes, shoes, underwear. If you're needing them, that's what we get from the thrift store. We keep some clothes here, all different sizes. So when you come in and you want to do your laundry, we have a clean set of clothes for you. We have shampoo, razors, deodorant. We have everything here at this location. It makes you feel good. It makes us feel good because that's our job. And we want to see what we can do to help you.
Southern Arizona last week had its first excessive heat warnings of the year. We're going to have more of those excessive heat warnings this week. I know that's when you all will get busy, but how long through a year do you all end up staying open with the cooling center, part of the mission?
We're open all the time. It doesn't matter. We're open. There's no date set. We're here to help. I've done several water drives. I've got over 20 pallets of water donated. I have a warehouse. We have them at the pallets at the thrift store. And here we keep them on ice. Also, Ready Ice donated some bags of ice. So if you're traveling or you're at a tent, we can give you a bag of ice to help cool you down until you make that decision. I'm tired of living like this. Let's see if I can get out of this situation.
Can folks bring their pets in? A lot of the folks who are homeless have pets. Can they come in also?
We can't because of my insurance, but we have a shade outside. It's all shaded and there's cold water and snacks there. They can tie their dog there and somebody can watch it if they want to come in. But that is the only thing I cannot allow. And we have people from the Humane Society, other people with different organizations that will take care of their pets while they're here at the mission. So we want to hope that things do work because 99.9 will not give up their pets for nothing. It doesn't matter their living conditions. So we have dog food here. We have Ziploc bags and we give out dog food and water bottles for the dogs because they have to drink too. We try not to say no. So, but the only thing is, we watch the dogs and they're very careful about their dogs. They keep them on leashes and it's across the street. The cooling station is so the dogs can run around and have a good time.
What made your organization decide to get into this, especially the cooling station part of this?
We've been doing this for a long time, like 20 years. We've always provided this. It's just that we're doing more publicity on it because we saw the need was there and the need's there. That's our job, is to take care of the situation.
All right. Well, thanks for spending some time with us.
You're welcome. If there's anything else, any questions, we're always asking for donations, food, water, Gatorade, and the luxury is root beer floats. They love root beer floats. So I like to thank, Cold Stone Creamery donates ice cream periodically. So we get those cans of root beer and give them a big 16-ounce ice cream, and they just pour that root beer in, and that's heaven on earth.
That was Barbara Rochester with the Crossroads Mission in Yuma. You're listening to The Buzz. After the break, we learn about a program that helps people fix cooling issues for free. stay with us.
I'm Rachel Martin. You probably know how interview podcasts with famous people usually go. There's a host, a guest, and a light Q&A. But on Wildcard, we have ripped up the typical script. It's a new podcast from NPR where I invite actors, artists, and comedians to play a game using a special deck of cards to talk about some of life's biggest questions. Listen to Wildcard wherever you get your podcasts, only from NPR.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm Christopher Conover. We're looking at efforts to mitigate heat-caused health issues this week. In Pima County, the Home Repair Assistance Program helps homeowners who meet income requirements with repairs ranging from window screens to new air conditioners and roofs. To learn about the program, we spoke with Pima County's Joel Veers and Tony Reese. Veers begins by telling us much of their work includes helping people cool their homes.
That's a huge issue, and it's not just within city limits or any specific area. We get calls from all over every day throughout the county, and it's a huge issue. And unfortunately, these things often happen kind of too late. They're calling when already they've had problems with the AC or it's gone out, or utility payments is also another issue that we deal with. We do have some utility assistance. It's a different division, but yeah, a lot of people are really stuck. They don't have the resources to deal with a failed major component or increasing energy bills. And they're only set to go higher, of course. This is going to be increasing year to year, probably.
So somebody gets in touch with the office and says, my cooling bill is going through the roof, my electric bill is going through the roof, or worst case scenario, my HVAC has failed. What's turnaround time? We're an instant gratification world. We want it yesterday before we called, but what's the reality on this?
Sure, and unfortunately, our program is simply not structured. We're not nimble enough, and our grant funders don't allow sort of the flexibility yet to do an emergency sort of program. Turnaround varies depending, again, on how we prioritize folks. If it is really a health safety issue, there's a small child, there's an elderly person disabled, something, then we have the option, because our policy is basically our policy. We can move them up as we need to and put off, other less critical needs. Just for a little background on the intake process, because you mentioned utility assistance, that's handled through another phone number and another division in our department. So typically those are completely separate things. They may coincide once we start work, or if they start getting utility assistance, somebody will discover, well, your HVAC is creating these $400 bills, or it's about to die. So on the utility end, somebody else will handle that. If they call in directly to the home repair line, Myra will take the call and try to, number one, we'll figure out whether they're in the city of Tucson or not, because we get tons of calls. And people don't know exactly what jurisdiction they're in, so she determines whether they're in the city or not. If they're not, then there's a couple of quick questions. She will direct them to the website, which is kind of the only intake portal we have now. We do have paper applications, and they can go out. Myra will even take them out to folks and help them fill them out, which is fantastic. She gets a lot of kudos for that, and the clients are super happy. But once that happens, they will go through an eligibility screening. So we'll look at their income. There's lots of documentation because we're the government. And if it was up to us, we'd get rid of all that. But that's all required by DOE and other folks. So we'll do that, and then they'll go into a file, and we'll prioritize them. We'll assign a program emphasis area, like do they need roof, whatever. Myra will set up the files. Tony gets them, and then he'll kind of parse them out to the home repair specialist to then go make the initial assessment. And that whole process typically takes, I think we've gotten a little better, it's about 14 months now. I mean, that's fairly substantial if you're waiting for your roof to be replaced or something. But in the absence of other resources and the fact that this is totally free to them, you kind of got to hang in there.
Right. And as you said, you can change priorities if somebody's, since we're talking HVAC goes out and it's summer and we're going to be in the 110s, you can prioritize that over another issue that somebody else maybe has been waiting for, but is not a safety or health issue.
Absolutely, and you'll see, like in monsoon season, we'll end up rolling a couple of roofs up the ladder a bit, because that becomes an issue where if we have a complete roof collapse, then that's significant.
And one of the great things with our program is we do have some portable AC units that we can lend out to the residents until we can get their application completed, get them in the program, and get our contractors out there. So we do have a little bit of a remedy to help them out. And it only cools a room, but we usually put it in their bedroom. That's where they're going to be spending most of that time anyway. So.
And one room is better than no room.
Exactly.
So.
And a couple of things about those units, thanks for bringing that up, is we got TEP and Trico to donate them. So they each donated 5. We've approached Lowe's as a test just to see if they would donate some. I don't think that's gone anywhere for a little bit, but we will reach out again. And we do get calls from people who don't qualify for the program but have no AC. In other words, they have enough money to actually replace it, but there's lead time. They got to do it. We will take a portable out to them too.
So what can be done to keep a home cool beyond replacing a swamp cooler or an air conditioner that's starting to die? Are there other things that you all can do or can help people do before you get to that crisis phase?
Yeah, so one of the things that when we go into a home, we do our initial inspection. So we'll check the insulation in the attic, make sure it's adequate. Weather stripping, we do sunscreens to help prevent the sunlight coming directly through the windows. Just minor things like that will definitely increase their cooling capacity and reduce their bills.
Of course, because it's Arizona, we don't have a lot of humidity. Shade works here as opposed to places where the humidity, where shade's just dark.
Yeah.
And once the contractors get on site too, they may have some other ideas or some options that we can actually pay for. And we're kind of playing with the idea. We have a new very small source of funds where we might be able to do a little more innovative things in terms of weatherization. But we don't really do a whole lot of significant weatherization. We try to do what we can and get people safe and then go on to serve the next needy client. For instance, when we do mobile home roofs, when we do replace those always get insulation in the ceiling. And we work on a lot of really old mobile homes. And there's nothing in there, essentially. So any roof we replace, we get a minimum of 2.5 inches of insulation in there, plus, window ceilings and things like that.
Which not only keeps it cooler, it should keep those bills down also, because you're not air conditioning the yard at that point.
That's right. And at this point, it means they're increasing not geometrically any longer. They're just increasing arithmetically, right?
Exactly. As we get up into the triple digits, as we're starting to do now. So you've talked a couple times about people who qualify, people who don't qualify. In a nutshell, who qualifies for these programs?
It's mainly income-based. So our funding streams mandate that people be of low or moderate income, which means here at 80% or less of area median income. So that would be Tucson is the measure of area median income. It includes the whole county. So whatever is issued as the number by the census, that becomes the gauge. 80% of that income is where you qualify, at or below. And it depends on family size. There's a chart always, The other main caveat is one we already mentioned, they can't live within the city of Tucson. That's simply, we're not being mean. The city has their own funds for that, right? They manage whatever they do. And then we don't work on rentals because we get kind of caught between the point of improving a property owner's property rather than the actual home of the qualifying person, the low-income person. I mean, we know a lot of mobile home parks out there aren't owned by poor people, right? So we will work on homes that are owned by the client but on a rental lot. So in other words, they're paying a space fee. If they actually own the home, if it's titled or it's real property to them, we'll work on it because it's improvements only to the home. We don't work outside the home.
One of the other reasons we don't do many rentals is because if it's an HVAC or large equipment, that's usually on the owner of the home. So they're responsible for maintaining, the HVAC equipment, refrigerators, stoves, stuff like that.
You've mentioned mobile homes, and that may be something people just don't think about. It sounds like a lot of the work you do is on mobile homes, which there are plenty of in Tucson.
Well, all of Pima County, frankly. I just ran the numbers, and I didn't bring the sheet a couple of weeks ago. We do, right now, 73% of our volume is mobile homes.
73%, that's a big number.
And we're working on some, I've even seen 1959 mobile home and they weren't built to last that long. So you can imagine the issues they might have. Out of that 73%, and this is extracted from a database of environmental reviews that I have to do on all our projects, including our subrecipients. I think about 34% of that 73% are pre-76, when Housing and Urban Development actually stepped in and mandated certain structural construction features and energy efficiency. That's when a mobile home became actually a manufactured home in June of 1976. So anything before that, aluminum wire, who knows what you'll find. After that, it's better, but we still have that pool of 34% of 73% that are in potentially really bad shape. And at some point, how much can you do?
Right. There becomes a point where you're completely rebuilding potentially.
Sure. And then your return on investment is totally lopsided.
So we hear a lot of talk about things like rooftop solar and low E double pane windows. Doing stuff like that is not cheap. What's the low-hanging fruit that people can do to keep those cooling costs down?
Yeah, so that's why we do the sunscreens. The sunscreens are a proven measure. They're cost effective. Replacing windows is not in our program because they are not cost effective in the long run. It takes approximately 30 years to pay off a window.
That kind of surprised me when I first heard that. I mean, it's like you essentially can't get single pane windows anymore. And they will keep the immediate interior air cooler, but as in terms of savings on your energy bill, you're better off putting your money elsewhere. If you have extra money and you have done other things, by all means, but additional insulation, if you can do that, it's always good. Make sure your house is sealed properly. AC tune-ups, make sure you change your filter. That's a really big one that we find. Anybody can get kind of complacent, and especially if you have pets or something, change it every month. It might be $5 or something, or 2 months, at least 2 months.
And the insulation, I know right now, if I go up in my attic to get something, it's hot, and it's thankfully not that hot in the house. So the insulation is a big deal.
Yes.
Absolutely. And proper venting too. I mean, you don't want to make your house absolutely too tight, right? So it's sealed. You've got to have flow through for safety reasons and health reasons.
That was Pima County's Joel Veers and Tony Reese. And that's the buzz for this week. You can find all our episodes online at azpm.org and subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for The Buzz Arizona. We're also on the NPR app. Zach Ziegler is our producer with production help from Desiree Tucker. Our music is by Enter the Haggis. I'm Christopher Conover. Thanks for listening.
AZPM's original productions are made possible in part by the Community Service Grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org.